presence known. Early in the second period, with the Chargers leading 7-0, Gene Mingo takes it on the Bronco 5, hands off to Tar, who outdistances the entire Charger team for a 95-yard touchdown scamper. In the final preseason game against the Oakland Raiders, Mingo emulates his rookie teammate by again taking a kickoff on the 5-yard line, cutting to the right sideline, and going all the way. Denver's newfound team spirit evidences itself most vividly in a preseason game at Fort Worth against the eventual league champion Dallas Texans. Early in the game, Len Dawson throws one to the Denver 19, where Bob Seaman picks it off and runs 81 yards for a score. It's the longest interception return in Denver history. Later in the second half, with the Texans leading 17-7, Frank Tripp arches one long and high to Bob Scarpetto, who gets his hands on it. It's knocked into the air, and Bob takes it in for the touchdown. Now it's midway through the fourth quarter. Dallas leads 24-17, and they have a 1st and 10 at their own 20. It looks like another Texan victory over the Bronco. On the first play, Frank Jackson swings wide and gains 8. Curtis McClinton, later to be named the AFL's Rookie of the Year, picks up 1 yard at center. With a 3rd and 1 to go, McClinton again tries the center, but the magnificent Bronco defensive unit, led by Bud Mcfadden, stops him for no gain. With a 4th and only inches, quarterback Cotton Davidson tries a keeper, but Denver holds, and the turning point in the game is reached. The Broncos take over, and after Tripp is trapped for a 13-yard loss, he completes this screen to Bo Dickinson, who goes for 35 yards to the Dallas 7-yard line. 3 plays fail to gain, but on 4th down, the old pro, Frank Tripp, hits Mingo for a touchdown. Gene converts to tie the game at 24-24 with 5 minutes, 36 seconds to play. That's the score at the end of regulation time, and a sudden death quarter begins. A few plays later, Mingo kicks this field goal from 17 yards away, and Jack Faulkner has won his first game as a head coach. It's a magnificent victory to set the stage for the monumental season opener against the San Diego Chargers on Friday night, September 7th. It's a typical warm September night when the Broncos take the field at DU Stadium against the defending Western Division champions. An overflow crowd of 28,000 jam every nook and corner of Hilltop Stadium. Midway in the first quarter, Justin Rowland blocks Blair's attempted field goal. Denver takes over on its own 44. Tripp passes to Gene Mingo, who, with the help of a key block by All-Star Eldon Dannenauer, goes for 10. Moments later, Lionel Taylor hauls in the first of his 77 receptions for the season to move the ball to the Charger 32. Gene Probola then takes one from the Tripper for a 15-yard gain to the 17-yard line. A couple of plays later, Ken Adamson leads the way. Gene Mingo follows around the left side for a 7-0 Denver lead. The Chargers fail to move after the kickoff. They punt to Denver. The Broncos have a 1st and 10 at the Charger 33 when Taylor catches this one and is stopped at the 18. A personal foul against San Diego moves the ball to the 5. Gene Mingo connects for the first of his pro record 27 field goals to give the Broncos a 10-0 lead. Now Dickinson takes a swing pass from Tripp for 18 yards to the Denver 40. A similar play gains 7, and on a 3rd and 10 situation, Frank hits Bob Scarpetto on a rollout pass as the speedy flanker goes in for a 17-7 Denver advantage. Now Denver takes over after a punt on their own 25. Frank passes to Al Frazier on a screen for a 17-yard gain. Watch Dannenauer break him loose with a block. A few moments later, the Tripper throws to Taylor to move the ball to the 3. From where, 2 plays later, Tripp tosses to Dickinson for a touchdown, and the Broncos lead 24-7. Immediately after the kickoff, Goose Gunselin, 3-time Denver All-League, comes through with a thrilling interception. Early in the third period, the Big Orange strikes again. It's 2nd and 10 from the Denver 46 when Tripp throws to Al Frazier for a 15-yard gain. After Dickinson hauls one in from Tripp to move to the Charger 32, Mingo hits a 41-yard field goal, and it's Denver 27, San Diego 7. After blunting another Charger drive, Denver takes over on its own 32. Al Frazier moves around the left side for 8 yards, but the drive is stymied on the Charger 45. Mingo drops back to the Denver 47, where he lofts a 53-yard field goal, the longest in Denver club history, the 3rd longest in the league. This gives the Broncos a 30-7 advantage, and although the Chargers pick up 2 desperation touchdowns, Denver has come of age in professional football with this historic 30-21 victory in their 1962 league opener. The Broncos began their Eastern trip on September 15th at War Memorial Stadium in Buffalo. The Bills quickly appear to be making a shambles of the game. They build up a 20-3 halftime lead, but Denver fights back in the second half, and with a 20-13 deficit, things are looking up. Denver's ball, 3rd and 36 to go from their own 4. Rocket Al Frazier breaks down the middle as Tripucka hits him with then the speedy little halfback goes all the way for a 96-yard touchdown ramble and the tying touchdown. It's at that time a new league record for a pass play. Several plays later, Taylor gathers in a Tripucka pass. He goes to the Buffalo 9. 3 plays fail to score. And with 31 seconds left to play, Mingo drops back to the 10-yard line, splits the uprights for an unbelievable 23-20 Denver victory. The Broncos boost their record to 2 wins and no losses. Well, it's a sunny Sunday afternoon as the Broncos invade the Polo Grounds, anxious for their first win in this historic arena in the last game they'll ever play there. This because the New York Titans move to the plush Flushing Meadows Stadium this fall. Midway through the first period, Jim Mcfadden picks off a Butch Songen pass at midfield, returns to the Titan 40. Tripucka throws to Scarpetto for a 32-yard gain. On 4th down, Mingo hits for 3 points from the 12-yard line. The Titans bounce back with a touchdown and a field goal for a brief 10-3 lead. But after a punt exchange, it's Denver's ball on their own 41. Johnny Olszewski takes a Tripucka pass for a 25-yard gain. It's 1st and 10 on the Titan 34 as Frazier bursts over right tackle. Only a desperate grab of his jersey stops him short of the score. However, it merely postpones the inevitable as Taylor makes one of his patented sensational catches to tie the game at 10-all. With time running out in the first half, the Big Orange has a 3rd and 4 from the New York 22. The Titans blitz Tripucka, but he gets away an accurate pass to Frazier for a 13-yard pickup. Mingo then place kicks for 3. Denver leads 13-10 as the half ends. After a scoreless third quarter, the Broncos break loose for a 19-point final period. Denver has a 2nd and 10 on the New York 24 when Frank throws to Perpola for 11 yards. He follows with another one on a rollout, this time to Dickinson, who's knocked out of bounds inside the 1-yard line. The Tripper then scores the only touchdown of his Bronco career as he goes in on a keeper, and Denver leads 19-10. Incidentally, Mingo's conversion attempt is wide, the only time all season he misses one. His only other conversion failure comes on a blocked kick. The action then is stalled for only 4 plays as Dean looks pass is intercepted by Bob Seaman on the Titan 30. He streaks in for a 26-10 Denver lead. The Broncos wind things up with 2 Mingo field goals, one for 48, another for 26. Denver wins 32-10 and goes home with a 3-1 league record. The Broncos return to Denver to play Oakland for their first game in Bears Stadium, and 22,452 paid attend the game, the largest crowd to that time ever to watch an event in the stadium. Evidence of the type of ball the Broncos are to play comes early in the game when the fleet Bull Roberson tries to turn the right side, but Justin Rowland barrels through to throw him for a 20-yard loss. After a scoreless first quarter, George Shaw, who plays the whole game in place of Tripucka, who injured his hand the week before, throws one to Perbola for an 18-yard pickup to the Raider 42. Scarpetto now takes one for a 29-yard advance to the Oakland 13. After a short pass to Dickinson gains 4, Frazier turns the left end behind fine blocking by Dickinson and Jerry Sturm and goes for a 9-yard touchdown run. A little while later, quarterback Cotton Davidson is thrown for a 10-yard loss by Stahlcup and McDaniel. He fumbles, and Wahoo recovers on the Raider 10. After a pass interference penalty gives Denver a first down at the 5, Dickinson and Bob McCullough clear the way for Mingo to go around the right side for a 14-0 Bronco halftime lead. Early in the third period, Denver has a 1st and 15 on the 18. Mingo moves around the right side, and with McCullough throwing a key block to break him loose, goes 82 yards for a touchdown. It's the longest run from scrimmage in Bronco history. Denver leads 21-0. Oakland scores in the opening minutes of the final quarter, but the Broncos come right back to ice the game. With a first down at the 26, after the kickoff, Shaw begins to move the club and takes it down to the Oakland 15. Perbola nearly misses scoring on a pass from George as he's pushed out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Frazier takes a pitch out around the left side, and the Broncos lead 28-7 with 5½ minutes left. Now lightning in a bottle explodes. A fumble recovery sets up a 21-yard field goal by Mingo, and it's 31-7. Following the kickoff, Gonsolin picks off a Gallegos pass on the Denver 36. He goes 64 yards for a touchdown. You can see John McGeever and Jim McMilling throwing key blocks to clear the way. With the score 37-7 and 2 minutes 17 seconds to play, Denver kicks off. 2 plays later, McGeever also comes up with an interception at the Raider 48 and goes in for the final score as the Broncos win 44-7. It's a thrilling power display for the hometown fans as Jack Faulkner's crew runs its season record to 4 wins and a single loss. Sunday, October 14th, marked the end of a torrential 4-day downpour in the Bay Area. The sun was shining brightly as the Raiders kicked off to the Broncos into the end zone for an automatic touchback. On the first play, Tripp throws to Scarpetto up the middle. He goes 67 yards on a magnificent run to the Raider 12. You can see how wet the turf was as Bob slides across the field after being knocked out of bounds. 3 plays failed to advance. Mingo kicks a 17-yard field goal for a 3-0 Denver lead with only 2 minutes 20 seconds gone in the game. Shortly after, Mingo hits for another 3 points, and the score stays at 6-0 until early in the third quarter. Denver has a 2nd and 11 from its own 14. Tripucka appears to be tackled for a loss, but he manages to get clear, throws to Donnie Stone, who cuts to the opposite side of the field, carries the ball to the Oakland 30. As he's hit, he laterals to Taylor, who picks up another 9 yards to the Raider 21. Again, the Oakland defense rises to the occasion, but Mingo gets another field goal, this one from 13 yards away, as the Bronco lead moves to 9-0. A few plays later, Mcfadden recovers a Gallegos fumble on the Oakland 4. first play, Krabola and Dickinson throw perfect blocks to clear the way for a Mingo left tackle slant for a touchdown. And it's Denver 16, Oakland nothing. Midway in the fourth quarter, Gonsolin intercepts a Gallegos pass on the Oakland 40 and returns it to the 23-yard line. 2 plays later, Dickinson on a screen pass goes 11 yards to the Raider 11. Now Tripp passes to Taylor for a touchdown, and Denver leads 23-0. Oakland picks up a face-saving tally with 3 seconds to play as Denver wins 23-6 and balloons its record to 5-1. If professional football came of age in Denver when the Broncos defeated San Diego in September, Sunday, October 21st, brought the Big Orange and the Rocky Mountain area into full maturity. The weather was perfect, a cloudless sky, the temperature at kickoff time, 72 degrees. Never had the Broncos defeated the Houston Oilers in regular or preseason play, the only club in the AFL to boast that mark. But Jack Faulkner had his team ready for this one, and 34,496 fans jammed every nook and corner of Bears Stadium to become the largest crowd ever to see a sports event in the history of Denver. Al Frazier takes George Blanda's kickoff in the end zone and springs the fans to life by returning to the Denver 26. With 3rd and 11 from their own 25, Tripucka throws to Dickinson on a swing pass. The big fullback carries to the Houston 41. Rookie Bob McCullough was a big man on this play as he threw a block just as Bo catches the ball and goes downfield to throw another one on the same play. Three plays later, with the ball on the Houston 33, Frazier takes a Tripucka pass to the Houston 26, but the Broncos bogged down at this point. Now, here's Mingo kicking a field goal from the 41-yard line to give Denver a 3-0 lead with 5.5 minutes gone in the game. But it takes defense as well as offense to win games. Here's the Broncos' heralded defensive unit in action, stopping fullback Charlie Toller for no gain from the Oiler 26. 2 plays later, the human fire plug, he's only 5 feet 6 1/2 inches tall, loses 2 as he tries to turn the left side. The Oilers are forced to punt. The Broncos take over on their own 20. After an incomplete pass, Tripp hits Taylor, who shakes off Mark Johnston at the Denver 31. He goes all the way for a touchdown. But Denver has a call for a personal foul. The play is nullified. It's a tough break. But the Broncos seem to get fired up because of it. Now it's the second quarter. Denver has a 1st and 10 from their own 12. Tripucka throws to Scarpetto, who takes it to the Bronco 36. Moments later, Krabola gathers in a Tripucka pass at the Houston 24. But 3 more plays move the ball only to the 18. Mingo kicks another 3-pointer, this time from 25 yards out. Denver leads 6-0. The Oilers get a break in the waning minutes of the first half on a pass interception, and even though the sterling Bronco defense stops them short, Blanda kicks an 18-yard field goal, and it's a 6-3 game at the half, as the Broncos head for the clubhouse and halftime strategy.
Mingo, on 18, we had a hell of a play going out there. All you have to do is stay to the outside. Just stay outside. Your guards are pulling for you, and then you cut back in. The linebacker will finally get those down. We can run 18 and 19 Bob Jacko special. Run a special, then you can get back. I told everybody now. I just go one way or the other. Once he sees, and you crack together, he knows you have to go down. You can help your safety. All right, now. You got a lead on him right now. Let's not give it up.
At the start of the second half, the Bronco defense shows itself again as Chuck Gavin smears Tolar at the Houston 15. Now, Jerry Stahlcup puts on a great rush. Blanda's pass falls incomplete. A completion, Blanda to Dave Smith, loses 4 as Holtz, McMillan, and Mcfadden diagnose the swing pass perfectly. Near the end of the third period, Tripucka passes to Mingo for a 19-yard gain to the Oiler 49. With a 3rd and 13 from their own 48, Tripp passes to Johnny O for 15 yards and a vital first down at the Oiler 37. Then comes the play that breaks open the game. Sturm throws a key block. Mingo breaks over the right side and goes 34 yards before Mark Johnston manages to tackle him 3 yards short of the goal line. It only postpones the inevitable, as 2 plays later, the fourth quarter opens and Tripp throws to Scarpetto. The Broncos move ahead, 13-10. Perhaps the biggest play of the game takes place now. After an exchange of punts, the Broncos are backed up against their own goal line with a 4th and 25 from their own 5. Jim Frazier, standing against the end zone line, even though rushed hard, gets off a fantastic punt, which travels almost 80 yards overall, 64 yards officially from line of scrimmage. The Oilers have a 4th down and a half-yard to go at their own 48 when Blanda tries to complete a pass. It's knocked down by Jim McMillan, and Denver takes over. After a pass to Stone picks up a first down at the Oiler 35, Dickinson breaks up the middle on a draw, goes all the way for what appears to be the clinching touchdown. This time, Denver is offside and penalized 5 yards. Undaunted by this bad break, Tripp comes right back with a pass to Taylor for a 19-yard gain and first down at the Houston 20. Watch Stone now as he blasts through the middle and with the help of a great block by McCullough, scoots the 20 yards for the touchdown. The final score, 20-10. The Denver fans go wild in adulation for Jack Faulkner and the Denver Broncos. The mood is spirited a couple of weeks later when Jack Faulkner returns to San Diego to tangle with Sid Gilman and the renewal of the bitter Bronco-Charger vendetta. The stern Denver defense stops Frank Jackson on a power play up the middle shortly after the kickoff. They do the same to Jacques McKinnon, and the Chargers are forced to punt, with Denver taking over on its own 23. On the first play, Mingo picks up 11 yards. Now, Prebola takes a pass to the San Diego 46. Following that, Jim Stinnett goes 13 yards on a completed pass to the Charger 35. 2 plays fail to advance, but Prebola clutches a Tripucka aerial and moves the ball to the Charger 24. Stinnett powers his way for 14 yards to the 10. Stone almost goes in on a pass from Frank, but is stopped just short. However, the hard-running halfback plunges over on the next play, and Denver leads 7-0. In the second quarter, San Diego comes to life and picks up a quick 20 points, including a field goal at the start of the second half. But the thrills for the Horses' followers are just beginning. All-America John Hadle fumbles attempting to pass, and Chuck Gavin pounces on it on the Charger 5-yard line. On the first play, Stone sweeps for a touchdown, and the Broncos close to 20-14. A few moments later, Gonsolin picks off a Hadle pass at the Denver 24, and the Broncos start to move again. Shortly after the start of the fourth quarter, Denver has a 3rd and 1 at their own 33 when Stoney sweeps the right side for a 6-yard pickup. A couple of plays later, Stone catches a Tripucka pass and goes for 32 yards to the Charger 31. After an incomplete pass, Tripucka throws to Dickinson on a rollout, who takes it to the San Diego 14. Now it's Tripp passing to Stone for a touchdown, and the Broncos, after Mingo's almost automatic conversion, move into a 21-20 lead with 12 minutes, 43 seconds left to play. Now watch this for those who say Frank Tripucka can't run. It's a 3rd and 17. Tripp takes off around the left side and goes for 13 yards. The final score, Denver 23, San Diego 20. And Faulkner has defeated his former boss in both regular season games. Those were some of the games, some of the highlights of the exciting 1962 Denver Broncos season. We couldn't include everything that brought professional football to its finest hour, up to now, to Rocky Mountain fans, but we try to hit some of the thrilling action, some of the spine-tingling, suspenseful tactics of the season just past. Examples of what you'll see to an even more explosive and engrossing 1963 season. Now, let's pinpoint some of the individuals who were and are responsible for the Denver Broncos' exciting type of pro football. First, here's Captain Bud Mcfadden, 285 pounds of football dynamite. Bud is the man who calls the flip of the coin before each game. He's the big man on the team. He's the acknowledged leader of the club. And his tackling is deadly and accurate. When an opposing player is hit by this native Texan, he knows he's been hit. But Bud doesn't limit himself to tackling. Here he is after an errant Boston lateral, recovering and advancing it downfield. In the New York game, big Isaac Lassiter, 290-pound defensive end, wraps his big arms around quarterback Johnny Green, and Green fumbles. Bud picks it up on the run and goes 69 yards for a touchdown. You notice the bigger he is, the faster he runs. Nobody's going to stop him. Bud Mcfadden, 3 years in a row All-League, twice unanimously named. In 1962, he received the highest point total any player ever pulled in an All-League selection. Here's another great All-Star, linebacker and punter, Jim Frazier. This boy played his first season in the pro ranks and has developed into one of the great prospects in the league. He's quick, alert, strong, as you see on this tackle. But Frazier's powerful right leg punted for an average of 44.4 yards per try during the season to lead the league in that department. Here he is against the Boston Patriots from the scrimmage line at the Denver 25, kicking this one, which goes out of the end zone. It goes now officially as a 75-yard kick, but actually about 100 yards. It's the longest punt in Denver history, third longest in AFL annals. One of Faulkner's most effective moves after coming to Denver last year was the acquisition of safety man Bob Seaman from the Chargers. Z teamed with Goose Gonsolin, both made the league all-star team. But the ex-Wisconsin star can also show his heels with the ball when the need arises. Here he is on a 47-yard punt return of a Buffalo kick. Goose Gonsolin is another Bronco whose value is unquestioned. One of the original 1960 Broncos, Goose again this year was named to the league all-star team for the third consecutive time. His 24 interceptions in 3 years is the highest total in the league. He's a vicious tackler, highly competitive on the playing field. And Eldon Garmenauer must be latest in the game. In his third season, he was named to the league all-star game, and 1963 should see him develop into perhaps the greatest offensive tackle in the game. Another old pro, quarterback Frank Tripp. Frank's value to the club sometimes is overlooked by the fans, but not to the players and coaches. Somehow, Tripp possesses that ability to instill confidence in the club when he's running the action. His innate sense of knowing his teammates enables him to get the most from them. He may be screaming at them, he may be cajoling them, he may be directing them, but whatever, the offensive unit knows the Tripper's in there, and they respond with redoubled efforts. On this rollout pass, he makes it look easy as he tosses a touchdown pass to Bo Dickinson. And now to Old Bo, another trade acquisition by Faulkner. Bo caught 60 passes during the year to rank 4th in the league in that category, almost an unheard-of total by a fullback. His rushing average was 3.2 on 73 carries. Here's Bo against New York with a 4th down and half a yard to go, breaking loose around the left side, scampering 42 yards to set up a touchdown drive. Here he is, scoring one of the 4 touchdowns he tallied by passing. Now, watch this exciting play as Bo takes a screen, cuts across the field, and just as he's about to be tackled, laterals to Donnie Stone. who goes in for a touchdown against the Patriots. Donnie Stone, hard-running halfback, was plagued by injuries the first half of the season, but came strong after he recovered. He led the club in rushing with 360 yards on 94 carries for a 3.8-yard average, scored 5 touchdowns, and caught 20 passes for 223 yards. A former University of Arkansas star, Stoney is a ball player who, as the saying goes, came to play. Here's Gene Mingo showing you the style and power that enabled this guy to break an all-time professional field goal kicking record in 1962. He successfully kicked 27 of the three-pointers, breaking the immortal Lou Groza's previous mark of 24. Actually, Gene had 25 in 12 games, the same number in which Groza set his record. Gene also led the league in scoring with 137 points, the second time in the 3-year history of the AFL that he's been the scoring leader. His ability to hit extra points also is remarkable. But Mingo's talents are not restricted to his strong right foot. Here he turns the right side against the New York Titans for a 33-yard gain to the 2-yard line, from where the Broncos score a moment later. When they talk about great receivers in the game, they now include Lionel Taylor right at the top of the list. This 3-year veteran of the Broncos has snared the remarkable total of 269 passes in that time, averaging 90 passes a season. He picked off 77 this past year. Watching him make impossible passes has almost become commonplace among Denver Bronco fans, as his fantastic hands usually hold on to any ball that comes in contact with them. One of his greatest feats was against the Houston Oilers when he leaped high in the air, along with 2 Oilers, clutched the ball with one hand and comes up with a 14-yard gain. Lionel, another of the great Broncos, 3-time All-League, possessor of the greatest hands in professional football. Probably the fastest man in the league is Jerry Tarr. Signed last year out of Oregon State, Jerry shows promise of developing into one of the finest pass catchers in the game. Watch Tarr's hands as he leaps high in the air against the Patriots to wrest the ball from their grasp and go in for a score, even though the interference was such that the officials called an infraction against the pass. Pass from George Shaw, and with blinding speed goes 97 yards overall for a score. At that time, the longest pass play in league history. When you think of Bronco personalities, the one uppermost in everyone's mind has to be Jack Faulkner. His dual post of general manager and head coach of the Denver Broncos means that he is the man responsible for virtually every phase of the operation. Thus it is that Jack Faulkner's recognition by both the Associated Press and United Press International as AFL Coach of the Year was well-deserved and earned. A veritable mound of energy, Faulkner's effervescence and boundless optimism bodes even better times ahead for Bronco fans. Gregarious by nature with an infectious laugh and a ready wit, Jack is a one-man public relations department. These qualities, combined with his astute knowledge of the game itself, ensure Denver and Rocky Mountain area fans of the finest in professional football from now on. Here's one last but important thought. Be sure and get your season tickets for the Denver Broncos for the exciting 1963 season. You'll be assured of choice seats for all 7 games. You'll see the explosive action of the American Football League. You'll be in on all the fun and thrills of America's #1 professional sport, football at its finest. Prices for season tickets are West and East stands, $35. North and South stands are $24.50, or 85 cents for students, 17 years of age and under. For complete details, contact the Denver Broncos ticket office, Bear Stadium, or telephone 433-2535. Thank you.